Hello again, everybody. Gary Ferman and Matt Shodell here, and today we are talking about a subject that's very near and dear to my heart because I have been on this thing for multiple seasons now, and Miami keeps winning 5 games, 7 games, and everyone wants to know why. And I think this is one of more than one obviously reason why, but one of the main reasons why, and that is because Miami has not had a number one receiver in several seasons. And you can go back and say that Charleston Rambo was a number one receiver, not a number one receiver like we would like to think of number one receivers in this program. Michael Irvin, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne. Those are number one receivers, Matt Shodell. Miami does not have even close to that right now, with all respects to my main man. I'll give him a shout out because I love what he brings to the field every single week, and that is Xavier Restrepo, who's rewriting the record books, no argument, getting a lot of receptions. But Matt, he is not a number one receiver. He is not a guy that changes a football game. And when you are in, and I use the number 5 or 6 because usually there are 5 or 6 games that are tight going into the fourth quarter, and you need a guy to make a play to tilt the difference in that game. Number one receivers are usually the guys called upon to make those plays. Miami has not had one in a while. So, yes, I think you always do need a number one receiver.
Look, it's nice to have a number one receiver.
No, it's not nice. It's mandatory.
Well, can you succeed without a number one receiver? I mean, a little bit to some extent, but
not easily, man.
It just seems like, and this isn't really in the story, but it seems like, in those crunch situations, in those pressure situations, those are the guys that come up with plays, because a lot of times what will happen is the defense coordinators tend to freak out and send blitzes and do all sorts of stuff on, third downs when the other team's driving, whatever. And that's really when you get the number one receiver in a favorable matchup, if a safety's blitzing or whatever. And that's when they can make these big plays. And, Restrepo, I think, had 4 yards after catch or something last year. Like you're not, people will attack you for things and not a number one receiver, but you're right, he's not, because number one receivers make big plays. They don't average, have 10-yard routes across the middle where they're tackled 4 yards later over and over and over again, which is really nice to have. But can you imagine Restrepo in the slot with a number one receiver on the outside? That's really what you want. But this whole argument, it's a little convoluted because, you could argue, Charleston Rambo probably was a number one receiver, right? But he also had Mike Harley on that team with him. And in 2021, they combined, I did the math, they combined for 57.3% of the entire passing offense. So well more than half the passing offense went to those two guys. And then last year with Restrepo and Jacoby George, it was actually higher than that percent-wise, 58.4%. So is that, when you say number one receiver, well, is that a function, having those two guys being the main guys, is that a function of just there's nobody else to throw to that's consistent? Because, Colby Young was fine, I thought. Or is it more a function of a quarterback who is just in a more of a simplistic offense where he just is locking on one guy and then the next guy, and you don't really ever get to the third or fourth reads? I don't know, because we don't know exactly what they were calling every play. What we do know is that Tyler Van Dyke threw to Xavier Restrepo all the time when other guys were open. They were. I mean, you could see him in the games. There were other guys open. He just didn't throw to them. And then there were guys open, and he would not throw correctly to them. And he would throw late, or he would have to throw them, and they'd be intercepted. So maybe there is a number one receiver on this team. Maybe his name's Jacoby George, if he can keep his head on straight. But we don't know because, they threw to Xavier Restrepo so many damn times that it's just hard to tell. Jacoby George certainly seems talented enough if he keeps on making progress to become a number one receiver. I'm not sure you have to go outside the program to find the guy that'll be the number one receiver. But that's something the coaches have to decide. And with Cam Ward at Miami, I do, and you watch his tape, and he checks the ball down a lot, and he takes the smart throws. But you need a guy that a defense is worried about getting free over the top. You do, because he throws a great deep ball. And that great deep ball is wasted when Xavier Restrepo is not running deep routes. He runs 90% of his routes within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage before the ball's supposed to be out. That's a guess. I'm making that up, but I think it's true. Jacoby George is a little bit more of a deep threat. Colby Young would have been more of a long or tall or deeper threat, like an Isaiah Horton could be that, but who knows, because he's so, hasn't done much. He's still pretty young. But you do need that guy who has some speed, who has some length, who can be outside, and who can basically let Cam Ward decide, hey, I'm checking this one down. or hey, I'm going over the top, depending on what the defense shows. Because if you don't have both those options available to Cam Ward, it's not going to be a great offense. And so when you say a number one receiver, well, a number one receiver can't do both those things at once. He can't go deep and run the checkdowns. You need both those guys to make plays. A checkdown can turn into a touchdown, right? So, to me, I think you need more than a number one receiver. It's nice to have a number one receiver, but it's not necessary. You just need playmakers at all the receiver positions. And if you have Restrepo, if you have Jacoby George, and if you get a third guy who is a little bit better than what Colby Young did last year, I think with Cam Ward's talent level at quarterback, I think you'll see maybe even 2 1,000-yard receivers next year, because that's really what would have happened last year if Tyler Van Dyke hadn't thrown all those damn interceptions and kept the offense moving a little bit more.
2,000-yard receivers. Okay,
1,000, not a 2,000 receiver. 1,000.
Okay, I'm assuming you're saying that
Two 1,000-yard receivers.
Yeah, so
wouldn't shock me. Because he doesn't spread. Because Shannon Dawson doesn't seem to like to spread the ball around. This isn't 8 guys catching the ball on the team. He did that his first year at Houston. For the next 2 years, he didn't. And last year, he obviously didn't. It was just those 2 guys, and then maybe Colby Young once in a blue moon. So yeah, if he keeps throwing mainly 2 guys, they'll have 2 1,000-yard receivers with Cam Ward at quarterback, as crazy as it sounds, but no one else will have any yards. That's just
I assume you're saying that Restrepo will be one. And
you understand, Jacoby George only was missing 136 yards. He was only 136 yards away. For him, that's two 60-yard touchdown passes. He would have basically been at 1,000 yards also last year.
Yeah, the 80-yard one at Florida State.
Right, 2 more of those, bang. Actually, 1 more of those, and then a little long catch, and bam, he's there. 2 1,000-yard receivers last year with Tyler Van Dyke, and now they have Cam Ward. So don't make it sound like I'm an idiot. It's possible.
But here's the thing, Matt. And I keep hearing Jacoby George, and I liked some of what we saw last year. I don't like the reliability factor there. I don't like the 15.
That's for sure.
Takes a lot of personal foul penalties. He's undisciplined. He gets in trouble. He had his, I'm like,
he would have given up on James Williams too.
Yeah, well,
same problems.
Giving up on James
He
Williams
it out.
Did James Williams really accomplish anything as a Miami Hurricane?
I mean, he didn't live up to his 5-star billing, but he was pretty good last year. Yeah,
he was okay, but he should have been a linebacker. Should have been a linebacker from the day he stepped on campus.
We know this.
So essentially, to me, it was a waste of 3 years because he never was playing the right position. They didn't win any games. He didn't make a difference on the field. No, that doesn't mean anything to me. Jacoby George can't be counted on, and now he's what, a 5th year senior? This is 5th year, I think, right? If you can't count on a guy that's one of your upperclassmen on the team, you could hope he changes here and grows up at the end. But I don't know, man. If I'm going to make a bold prediction right now, if Miami is going to have a number 1 receiver in 2024, that guy is on somebody else's roster right now, and that guy is going to come out of the transfer portal here in the spring cycle, spring portal cycle. I think Miami will be looking for that dude. I don't think they have him on the roster right now, and I think they need it very badly. So that's going to do it for today. Hope you enjoyed the story. For Shodell, I'm Ferman, and we will see you guys next time around.